So this last type of factoring we're going to do is called difference of squares. That's what it's called. It is the exact same thing as the trinomials we were doing, you know, with the X box. Go ahead and close that. The only difference is the middle term is 0. It's going to cancel out. So look at the first one. Do you see how it's a squared minus 49? You can rewrite that as a squared plus no a's minus 49, and then do it like an X box. After this, I'll show you a shortcut, but I just want to show you like what the process is. Negative 49 would go on the top, 0 goes on the bottom. So, hey guys, can you think of numbers that, go ahead and close that, multiply to be 49? Good. 7 and negative 7. Do you see that? How 7 minus 7 is 0? All right. So you would draw your two parentheses and you would have a plus 7 and a minus 7. And that's the answer. There is no a's in the middle. So it's missing. You're just trying to get it to be 0. But what you want to be on the lookout for are perfect squares. That's why it's called a difference of squares. So let's see if we can list them out. We did this earlier in the year. You've got 1. The square root of 1 is 1. The next one's 4. Can you write this down with me? The next one's 9. 3 squared is 9. Does anyone know what the next one? 16 is 4 squared. I'm going to see if we can go all the way to 100. Good. 36 is 6 squared. 49 is the one we just did. 7 times 7. Good. 8 times 8 is 64. Does anyone besides Jackson know all these? What?
81.
81. Good job. And then, well, 100. They obviously go on infinitely. Numbers are infinite. If you don't know them, look, you can always type in here. And I showed you how to, do you see 2 squared? And then you can change it to 3 squared and 4 squared and 5. Do you see what I'm doing here? So like, if you don't know them, you can always do that.
44 squared.
Well, 12 squared is 144.
25.
I've got 25 right there. Okay. So look at this one. Do you see how the middle term is missing? It would be 0a. Why do you have that Chromebook open? So look at this one. Do you see how the middle term is missing? How there are no a's? You want it to be 0. So what numbers multiply to be 64, but add up to be 0? Good. So it is going to be a plus 8 and a minus 8. Do you see how that turned out? Try it again. Do you see how there's no x's in the middle? It is 0x. How would you split up 9?
5.
Good. So what goes in our parentheses?
Plus 3.
Good. X plus 3, x minus 3. That's all that there is to this. Do you see how this one, there's no k's in the middle, 0k? So how are you going to split up the 36? Good. So in your parentheses, it would be k
We have to do a
plus
parenthesis.
6, k minus 6. Yes.
Can we just like write it?
No, you have to put parentheses. Factoring is parentheses. Now these ones, sometimes you have to take out a greatest common factor first. It's a 2-step problem. What goes into both 3? Good. Okay, before I can even finish the question, this one's going to be a 2-step problem. If you divide by 3, you are left with what?
X squared and negative 4.
Good. Perfect. Now, do you see how there's no x's? It's x squared plus nothing x minus 4. So that 3 is kind of just there. You'll draw your 2 blank parentheses. And how do you split up the x squared minus 4? How would 4 split is what I'm asking.
X minus 2.
Uh-huh. And x.
And the same thing.
Well, no, 1 is plus and 1 is minus. Because 2 minus 2 gives you 0. You're looking for 0 in the middle. It's like the easiest one that there is. It's just going to be plus at something plus and something minus. All right, look at this one. What do they share in common? And what else? Good, write it down. Saying it's not enough. You have to be able to write it down because when I give you a quiz, you can't just say it. You have to be able to write it, right? Dividing out 5n. Pick up the pencil. N squared, good job. Minus, now that's tricky. There is a number there though. 1, good. People forget about one, but 1 times 1 is 1. Oh, did that work? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, people do forget about 1. It happens all the time. So that 5n is kind of just there. Just bring the 5n along. And then how would you split that up? Well, one's gonna be plus and one's gonna be minus. Well, it's
N plus 0.5.
1. It's 1, guys. 1 times 1 is 1. It's n plus 1 and n minus 1. That might have been what you said. I just couldn't hear you. 1 times 1 is 1. Are you all with me there? Good save.
Squared it a little bit.
All right. Look at this one. Do you see how there's a 25 and a 4? Those are your big clues because those are perfect squares. So draw your 2 sets of parentheses. How would you split up 25? Yeah, good. 5 times 5 is 25. How would you split up 4? 2, and then there's also an x. Good. So it's plus 2x and minus 2x. Again, the reason 1 is plus and 1 is minus is because you see how there's no x term in the middle, 0x? When one's plus and one's minus, they cancel out. So same with this one. Draw your 2 parentheses. How do you split up 1? We're going to try again. 1. Good. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 does throw everybody off for that reason. Close. It's square root of 16. So it's not 8, 4. Good. So it'll be plus 4x and minus 4x. Again, the reason 1 is plus and 1 is minus is because the middle term is nothing. It's 0, canceling it out. This one you have to take out a greatest common factor. If you don't know what goes into both 18 and 128, do this. GCF. I don't know that it's 18. Hold on. 2. All right, so we're going to divide them both by 2. So put 2, put a parenthesis. 18 divided by 2. 9. Oh my gosh. 9 is a perfect square. Isn't that crazy? All right, minus 128 divided by 2 is 64. I'll just be your calculator there. But do you notice how 9 and 64 are both perfect squares? Those are numbers you could square root. Just gonna blink at me.
You
Right?
square root 5.
You can square root 25. So bring down the 2. The 2 is kind of just there. Draw your 2 parentheses. How are you going to split up 9x squared? Good. 3x. And then good. That'll be 8. One of them is going to be plus 8 and one of them is going to be minus 8. Again, the reason for that is what? Why is 1 plus and 1 minus? So it cancels and you get 0. Perfect. All right. What do these share in common? What have they both got?
6.
I heard somebody say A. They both have A. If you divide an A out of them, you would be left with 36A to the what? Second, minus 49. Your big clue is 36 and 49. Are you focusing for me? You need to, because that quiz was rough. All right. Bring the A with you. Draw your 2 sets of parentheses. How would you split up 36A squared? Good. 6A, perfect. And 1 is going to be plus 7 and 1 is going to be minus 7. That's difference of squares. Have we got it? One's plus and one's minus. It's the same thing. You just need to know your perfect squares, but you can always use a calculator. Now, the other thing we're going to do is have to rearrange these. This is solved for x, but it involves factoring. Look it. Do you see how both of these terms have an x? So you're going to put x and start a parenthesis. What's left when you factor out an x? It's greatest common factor. What's left? Good. A plus b. And then equals 2. Good job. Perfect. Now you want x by itself. X is being multiplied by this thing. So how do you undo multiply? Divide. You're going to divide both sides by a plus b. Hey, you're just moving stuff. It's just here. I'm going to move this over here. So your final answer is x equals 2/a plus b. Do you see how x is alone now? We got x by itself. That's what solve for x means. And then try it again. Just maneuvering things. Do you see how both of these terms have an x? Okay, you have to be a good noticer. You wrote the parentheses before me. Good job. You knew how to set it up. All right, what's left once you take out an x?
3P.
3
negative
minus p, good, equals y. Like the alphabet threw up on your paper here. All right, and then what's your last step? You want the x alone. Divide by that stuff. So your answer will be what? Divided by. That's it. I'm gonna try one more. This one's a little bit more complicated, but I believe in you. Or you know what? Actually, I'll just fill that one in because we're running out of time.